I think it's worthwhile going back to the basics in the context in which we live. Not really in Canada, but really in the international stage, even with allies and neighbors. History has it that some people in the suburb of Athens decided that they would have the right to vote and the right to be candidates. And then came over history the concept of equality under law. The Romans created the complexity of public administration. And Montesquieu had the brilliance of establishing the separation of powers between legislative, executive branch and the independence of the judiciary system, including its capacity to oversee the public administration. And then the use of violence in society, in democratic society, has been defined as only legitimate when it is done by the arm of police, accountable to government, accountable to the public in the context of the application of the rule of law. All of this are blocks of an edifice. The edifice which contains the capacity to have debates on fundamental issues, to make choices, to make decisions about these issues. That's what public policy is about. But there's a cement to that fragile edifice. And that cement is the unwritten rules that have to be abided to. These are norms, these are codes, agreed about, often unwritten, and always not implementable by law. Tolerance, the adversary is not an enemy. Respect and forbearance, self-control in the use of power, civility, courteousness, politeness, cooperation where it's possible, openness and transparency in the context of dealing with the public good. These virtues are democratic virtues. Politics is a battle of egos for the public good. It should not be a battle for power itself, nor should it be the place for the arrogance of the narcissistic. Because democracy is fragile, citizens must be on alert to identify the temptation of authoritarianism amongst those who want elected office or who are elected. They don't necessarily abide, once they're elected, to these codes, which is why we have to see them coming. We have to look at their capacity for tolerance, forbearance, civility, respect, cooperation, and transparency. We're not in real danger here in Canada, but we have to be guarded constantly against populism, an ideology that satisfies itself with giving a simplistic framework of what it is and what will it do. And that framework is simple. They are the defenders of a pure people against a corrupt elite. That's pretty contrasting with a vision of a pluralistic society. The populists have no need to debate choices, nuance, or complexity. The populists will put in question individual social rights without real debate, and you will find them at the extreme right as well as the extreme left, as is the case in France, quite obviously. I'm quite optimistic as to where Canada will stand in that context. We're not the Philippines of Duterte. We're not Venezuela of Chavez or Maduro, or some Eastern country in Europe which is attacking the judiciary or the freedom of the press. But geography, close geography, shows us the dangers. Watch out, nurture freedom of the press, criticize courageously the shortcuts of the social media, and teach tolerance, civility, respect, forbearance, cooperation, and transparency. That is a job for schools, it is a job for academia, it is a job for associations, intellectuals, families. It is a job for all of us who believe in progress. Thank you.